It's Sunday night, 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me, as always, I got Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Not a bad weekend, eh? Not a bad weekend.
No,
I am on exhaustion, so I'm just kidding.
Pick'ems wise, not so great, but
well, there's a number of things.
yeah. There's definitely some bones to pick here.
Yeah, well, we got a long show to deal with all that, definitely. But it was fun. It was fun. I have all the people who wonder why in the heck I get on Bandit Land for hooked on phonics, and we go spelling and we do other things. We go counting and stuff like that. I have a little short video to show you all on what happens when a penalty is called against the opposing team. Are you ready? Here we go. Now you know.
I love half the battle.
I love that. I got to admit, man, I had a great time in Bandit Land yesterday. It didn't turn out like they wanted it, but you know what? Lacrosse is lacrosse, man. I love it. And when you get 19,000 plus anywhere, there's a lot of energy in the room. And it was wrestling night. So they had the Empire State wrestlers there, and they were doing stuff in between all the whistles and everything like that. And it was a lot of fun. And there was
awesome.
some really cool things going on all through the game. And again, lots of energy. And man, what a display of NLL goaltending when you're talking about a Kristen Del Bianco against Matt Vince. Like you sit there and you just marvel at it, going, how? And then how? And then how? And then what? And then who? And it goes back and forth. It was like tennis, and long passes. And, it's just, we'll get into the game. It's also championship weekend for the ALL, which is cool. That game is going on as we speak. There was an upset yesterday, Mike. There was an upset. Brampton got by Six Nations. We kind of expected that. It was 16-10. But over in the late game, you had the Toronto Monarchs facing the Whitby Steelhawks. And tell me not everybody thought Whitby was going to pull this one off. However, if I pull up the box score just to have a quick gander, it looked like Whitby was going to pull this off because they were up 9-8 with under a minute to go. And in comes Devin Dunkerley to tie the game up for Toronto with 38 seconds left, sending this thing to overtime. Well, after 8 minutes and 6 seconds of absolute heart-stopping action, on a broken play, Jamison Dilks picks up a loose ball and goes coast to coast for the Monarchs, scoring the winning goal, sending the Toronto Monarchs to the finals, and Whitby loses their opportunity to repeat. As the game is going on now, they are at halftime, and it is 6-4 for Brampton as we speak. Brampton on the strength of a pair of goals from Austin Hazen and a pair of goals from Zach Sunderland so far, where Toronto is getting a good performance from Jordan Dance with a pair of goals, Tanner Buck, Parker Pfeiffer. Jordan Dance, he has 3 goals so far in this game with Tanner Buck and Parker Pfeiffer. And my goodness, hold on to your hats, guys. It is now 7-6. Toronto just started the third. This is going to be one for the ages, this game. I'm thinking it wouldn't surprise me if this thing goes into overtime. That's what I've been talking about all year with the Arena Lacrosse League.
And correct me if I'm wrong, no one's ever repeated in that league as champions?
Not back to back. I do believe that we've had
no, I meant back to back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, nobody's gone back to back, which is pretty amazing too, considering there's only 8 teams, right? 7 for the first few years too. But
awesome.
pretty amazing, and this is going to be one heck of a game. We also have Pat Bernard coming on with the Wings Nest in about a half hour or so. He's just messaged, but he's got to compose himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wings have a new and innovative way how to drop the ball, shall we say? Because they have even from the lambasting I gave them last week, they have gone over and above to make us go, what in the hell are you doing? But we'll get into all of that in a couple of minutes. Just a reminder, everybody, before we really get going here, is that all of our shows are live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and also Instagram Live. Remember, hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share with your friends, family, associates, guy down the street, people you don't know. Let everybody know that we're here, we're live, we're interactive. Also, please enjoy all of our affiliates across the Streampunk Ent network, like the Pat Bernard Show, soccer and football shows, Streampunk Cinema, Streampunk Combat, CFL shows. NLL Lacrosse Talk has made its move over there with Frank and myself on Thursday afternoons, and we've had some just spectacular guests since we've come on over. This week is Brett Bucktooth, so you're going to want to catch that show as well.
Yeah.
Last week we had the NBLL group on, and they are in the Czech Republic. They're a lot of the guys that I will be talking and dealing with when I go to the Rebeski tournament in a couple of weeks. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Remember also, if you missed a show, you can catch it on YouTube all across all the time, and you will catch retro games, interviews, library of shows. You will catch press conferences. You will catch fights. You will catch other interviews, everything in there. So you don't want to miss that. More retro games coming up next week as well, by the end of the week, I believe. Also, a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by 60. 60 is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Also, add Lax Talk 10 for a 10% discount on your order. Now, how do you get to see them? Number one is just hit the QR code that you see on your screen. Other than that, you can go on to Instagram, go to sweet_60 and have a look at all their stuff there. You can DM Jim from there, or you can go on to his email at info.sweet60@gmail.com and email Jim with your order there. Remember, Lax Talk 10 for 10% extra off. Or go on to their website at www.sweet60.ca/60. And again, I can't stress enough, Lax Talk 10 for 10% off your order. A good Canadian company. So if you are in the U.S. and you're looking to save money, your strong American dollar, and believe me, it's a strong American dollar, will get you lots of discounts, and you can still use the Lax Talk 10 code. And if you're in Canada, why pay international shipping and why get hurt by the Canadian dollar and the U.S. funds when you can stay right here in Canada and get 100 cents to each dollar by shopping Canadian? Lax Talk 10 for 10% extra as well. To me, that just makes smart business sense. Now, I just mentioned the Rebeski tournament. That's coming up. It is in 3 weeks. 3.5 weeks if you're looking for when the tournament exactly is on, over in Raditon. Like I say, I had just talked with the NBLL guys on Thursday, and also Brian Whitmer from the Good Stick Company, who is doing amazing things, saving people all kinds of money in Europe with sticks, both men and women sticks. And he's got a booth there as well. I have a tour of his shop, which is only a couple of blocks away from the Radisson Arena. So I'm looking forward to that. I also have a meeting with Adam Sherpin, the commissioner of NBLL. They have 80 games, Mike. 80 in their team. They go 6 months. Like they just started, they'll go all the way to November. That's wild. And again, I said, if Canada and U.S. are not careful, it's going to be like hockey all over again, where we think we're the cock of the walk and the best that everyone. And then here comes Europe going, ha, ha, ha. And, we all know what happened in hockey. They all sucked their thumbs once Finland beat them. And
right.
Continue to give them bits in Sweden and all the rest of these places. Well, guess what? It's happening again. In the Czech Republic, they are very serious about their lacrosse. Germany is very serious about their lacrosse. The Netherlands, very serious about their lacrosse. So these places are all coming up and coming. Israel, very serious about their lacrosse field and box. So, don't rest on your laurels, guys. But hey, that's coming up. Eduardo's with us. Eduardo, good to have you with us. Eduardo didn't even wait for the show to start to make sure that I knew that the Vancouver Warriors are NLL contenders. Coming out of St. Augustine, Florida, that Mecca out there. How's your weather, Eduardo? I've been dealing with freezing rain. I almost skated to Buffalo yesterday. Luckily, in Buffalo, it was a little warmer, so it's just wet. But freezing rain mornings all over the place. Luckily, I didn't have to do any of the quick Canadian stop on a dime. And we came in. I got in late. Got in after the post party and all of that. I got in. It was about 3:00 Toronto time when I got back into the city here, and my day started bright and early at around 7 this morning. So it's been a long day, but hey, love doing what I do. So hey, 84 degrees over there. Yeah, we have an 8 and a 4. That was where they did with the high and the low. 8 and 4. But we're in spring here now. That just means that we wear a sweater and go, Jesus, it's cold for spring. When it's warmer in winter, you have to wonder, is it global warming? I'm not sure what it is. I don't know how you call it. But hey, it is what it is. Let's go to a couple of milestones. We got a few of them on here. Number one, Connor Fields, 110-point seasons, 3 of them now at least. Dane Smith, Sean Evans, Mark Matthews, and Connor Fields is up with the elite on this one now. He's just an absolute killer, isn't he? Him and Ryan Smith. We'll get into that game in just a short bit, but wow. Speaking of which, I wonder if Georgia is sorry they got rid of him. Ryan Lansbury, 200 career points now. Took a bit to get rolling, but once he got rolling, he's been like a snowball downhill. Just ferocious. And of course, no week is complete. I think last year or the year before, every week we had a Nick Rose record, didn't we? Well, this year, every week we have a Matt Vince record, much more substantial. This time, yesterday was his 300th career game. Wow. That's astounding. That's absolutely incredible. And he still looks like a spring chicken out there. Before the game, I was watching him juggle. Just, carefree, doing all kinds of stuff just to keep himself, sharp. Now, we're wondering, since Kristen Del Bianco came back, what kind of impact? Well, we know what kind of impact. Vancouver is now a contender for the Cup. But what kind of impact has he really put when it comes to numbers? And I know you're a numbers guy, Mike. So let's bring up this little thing here. Kristen Del Bianco's impact, 3 games with Vancouver, is 3-0, 44 saves per game. Wins over Toronto, Georgia, and Buffalo. I'd say that that's a pretty good impact. Kind of like a nuclear bomb going on, really.
Yeah.
In the center of your city. Boom. Big mushroom cloud. With a number 35. And I'll tell you, he was in fine form last night. We'll get into that also coming up in just a little bit. But boy, oh boy, he's a 6th defenseman out there. I don't know how many times I saw him running out of his crease almost to center to make the play and make the pass. But, wow. Mitch Jones makes our list this week. 450 career NLL assists. Unfortunately, when Philadelphia Wings say let it fly, that is their chance for playoffs. Robert Church outdid him, though, with 500 career assists. Now, this is for all you naysayers out there. Gee, they don't play anybody. They can't do anything. Gosh darn, as soon as they play somebody that does anything near a 500 record, they'll lose. Well, they just, Saskatchewan just clinched a home playoff game. Not bad. Not bad. Boy, there must be a lot of under 500 teams, eh, Mike?
Yeah. Just a few.
Like 13 of them, I think. That's the silliness of the comment, though. It's just.
Yeah. It's old and tired.
It is. We need to.
What it applies to everyone else, and fans of certain teams who've lost to teams like Las Vegas should probably take a seat and sit this one out.
I feel a little bit of bitterness there. My gosh.
Yeah.
All right, back into our ALL. We're going to keep you up to date as this thing goes along because, like I say, it is live. Actually, was offered if I could make it to track and do this show there, but I would figure there's just too many distractions for me to keep my attention on the show, and a lot of things going on there. But I like the graphics. I made them this morning.
Nice.
But yep, it is now. Mike, are you sitting? It is 9-8 for Brampton, halfway through the third. Toronto actually got up 8-6 at the early part of the third quarter with Jordan Dance with yet another goal. That's 4 so far in the game for him. Gavin Thibault, Curtis Ward, and Penn Eistrat storm back now for Brampton, scoring 3 goals in the last 3 minutes to go 9-8 on the Monarchs. So Brampton is leading right now with 6 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the third quarter. I told you guys all year. I've been telling you guys that the Arena Lacrosse League is great lacrosse. And nobody is out of any game at any point. They've been proving it all year. And, well, this is just another thing. By the way, next weekend is the ALL West playoffs, in which the Blackfish will face the Eagles, and the Eagles will face the Blackfish in a 2-game thing for the championship. I believe it's 2-game total score. Pretty cool. But that is Saturday, April 5th. 1 o'clock Pacific over at Langley Events, and Sunday, April 6th, 1 o'clock Pacific again at Langley Events Center. So if you're anywhere in the BC area and can make it, get your butt on over there because great lacrosse is what you were going to see. 20 minutes left in that game, still 9-8. Are you ready for this one? I'm not going to wait for everybody else. I just love to unleash bad. Very bad news. It's a very bad deal. I don't know. I'm going to paint myself orange when I do that. Anyways, that's about as political as I'll get. Mike, Shawn, Pat, all went 2-3 this week. Caden. He came down to earth this week.
Caden went 2-3.
Not from my records.
I have him with Ottawa and Sask.
You do?
Yep.
What am I looking at then?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Maybe you're looking at week 19. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, Caden, Ottawa. Oh, yes. Oh, how silly of me. Oh, we got to put Caden up at 2-3 as well. Sorry, Caden. Caden's at 55-50. He's still sitting where he's sitting. Just another half point up. But 60-45 from yours truly. Shawn and Pat are on my heels. Mike is battling with that 500 mark. But, yep, there we are. Sorry, Caden. Hard to come by wins, I tell you. I don't want to take one away from you. There we go. It's now correct on the stats. Oh well. There goes our prize. I was looking at the who you got, and I made it back into the top 10 again after the last couple of weeks of absolute dismality. And then I'm thinking after today's overtime loss that I might be going the other direction again. But
yeah,
we'll look and we'll see and we'll hope. And want that stick, man. I was only 12 points out of first place, so there's a couple of weeks still to go. I figure I can't lose another game if I want to win it.
Right.
Basically, I can say that there she goes. I want a wooden stick. I've got mine right here. But hey, we'll just sit back and commiserate with the boys. We were talking last night, of course, about the Philadelphia thing, and as far as I'm concerned, Philadelphia, Toronto didn't win another game this year, and I'm laughing to the bank because Vegas may not win another one this year, except when Toronto plays Vegas, where they both might lose. And in that, guys, 1, 2, and 3 in the draft is the Toronto Rock and Sam English, who was number 1 pick last year, will be into the lineup next year. So that could be 4 first-round draft picks in the lineup next year. Could change the whole face of things to come. So I keep hearing, they're going to re-sign Nick Rose. I'm not sure. If they find a first-round goalie who is, there and ready, and there's a couple. Just saying. Holochuk's shown that he can do it. If you have another backup there that's not Goa, then do they really need Nick Rose around? They can say hi to him all week long as he runs track. They've done that with Adam J and a few others, so why not?
Yeah.
So that's not a be-all, end-all, guys. They've done it with a number of other guys that don't play for the team anymore, but are still employed at the track. But anyways, we're going to pad on. So we're going to hold off on, of course, Friday night's Wings game. And, why don't we, since Shawn is busy doing curling for CTV over in Regina, the curling championships are over in his neck of the woods, and he's covering them, I believe, for either for the radio station or for the TV stuff that he's doing. And, hurry hard. Good Canadian sport. Gotta like it, Lacrosse ball isn't big enough. We're going to throw bigger rocks.
Sure.
Yeah. I think they should throw them over. I think it should be like when you skip rocks at a pond. Skip these things and see where they land. Then it becomes a challenge. Throw it along ice, it's going to slide, right? But Saskatchewan and Colorado. Shanks are up for 6 goals, 4 assists to lead the Rush to their 11th win. Lee scores 6 goals in the loss. Right away, there's your storyline. Right? Wonder why Keenan went out and got Austin Shanks, a player he knew and coached when he was a junior. Well, here you go. What do you think, Mike?
Those jerseys, first of all, wow.
That's something, eh?
Yeah.
That's like the first
Imagine jerseys are just phenomenal. So, and they are up for auction if anyone's interested on the Dash auction app. So,
but like I say, those are the first ones that I actually like in this. I didn't like any of the others, but these ones are pretty tasteful. So head on over and put a bid on that.
Yeah, I mean, the sock trick, obviously, from Shanks. You had 5 goals from Ryan Keenan. Majority of the offense coming out of those 2 guys. And Frank Chiliano making save after save, including
the goalie with no nameplate. That's
yeah, pretty phenomenal one. I mean, if there's one maybe gripe that I'm sure Shawn has is 3-4 shorthanded goals they allowed in this game, I believe. So
yeah, well, we all need a little fly in our ointment, right?
Yeah,
Can't
but
have everything you want,
it
otherwise-
doesn't seem so bad when you're up, 12-4 at the time. So
I look at Jake Nasso myself. I think that's just such an unbelievable stat when you're going up against a Tim Edwards, and you basically took him to school 28-6 on faceoffs.
yeah,
To me, that's just, if that doesn't put you in an elite group with the rest of these guys like Connor Farrell, T.D. Erlin, Trevor Baptiste, that's an astounding number. That's a Jake Withers kind of domination.
yep,
That's just pop right out, kaboom. Right. But yeah, giving up all those shorthanded goals kind of puts a little kibosh on the 5 power play goals you scored yourself.
right.
Right. The game of special teams, or lack of, or not very special teams. So you're telling me there's 9 goals scored while the Saskatchewan special teams unit was out there. It's an interesting stat. I don't know. I would have to ask Graham Perreault to take a look and see if there's any other team in a game that's had that many on their particular special teams. Interesting.
Yeah, it could very well be.
I am sure that if you go on to NLLstats.com, that he has got a category for that, because he's got a category for blessed everything. I have never seen a more up-to-date site in my life. If you never mind NLL, their website, if you need anything NLL stat-wise, from anything all the way down to Eagle, through Mill, through all the other teams that nobody can even remember they ever had a team. It's on this site, NLLstats.com. Graham Perreault runs it. Graham Perreault puts everything up there. This is his baby, and it is the best that I have ever seen when it comes to stats. Bar none. Just thought I'd add that in.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this is interesting, right? Because again, we're into this thing of Colorado, and you don't want to be limping into the playoffs, because you might actually wind up having to buy a ticket to see the playoffs if you're not careful.
Yeah, at this point, I won't disagree with that, considering how many teams right now. There's 6 teams that either 8-7 or 7-8 right now. So, that's 6 teams fighting for basically 4 playoff spots, and you're only a couple of games out of 3rd and 4th place. With the Halifax loss now keeps them at 9 wins along with Rochester. So
how do you keep your team interested when you're down 10-1 and you've only played 6 minutes into the second quarter? How do you keep them? Because obviously whatever the hell the game plan was wasn't working. Now, I've seen teams go, well, we're just going to keep doing it, and eventually it'll start working. Yes, that's when you have the 22-3 score. But, let's just say, just for argument's sake, that we didn't have those shorthanded goals go in. What does this thing look like? This is a team that is...
Oh, yeah. It definitely looks a lot uglier, and then you got to think that's... they might have racked up even more penalty minutes than they did at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Misconducts and all. So that definitely... maybe it was a little bit of a saving grace for them that they were able to get those goals because things.
Pre-enforcement conduct in the same play. It's pre-enforcement conduct in the same play. That's interesting.
Yeah, it led.
Last week there was an excuse, right? Dylan Ward owed us all one for the pick'ems. I'd say anybody who took Colorado, Dylan Ward owes you another one for the pick'ems. Where in the heck is he? Because he's in the nets, but he's not in the nets. That's
been kind of up and down. All I can say is time to get up again.
What is interesting to me is that he still played 59 minutes of this game. And Whittam played 1 minute of this game.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little surprised by that. You know,
Because
if
at
if it,
10-1, I would suggest that maybe you want to sit down
yeah,
for
if
the
it
rest of
was
the
that
half.
bad, and you know, I mean, I don't think last week's. I mean, I wouldn't place blame for last week's loss to Ottawa on Whittam.
Nor would I.
I thought he played a decent game for an NLL debut. Uh, I don't know. That's a bit of a head scratcher to me.
Uh-huh.
You know,
But
'cause, I
again,
mean,
there's players on the team here with a lot of zeros that shouldn't have zeros by their name. I mean, just putting it out there. They step up. You know, next man up mentality is what that team's known for. And they're looking next man up. You do it. No, you do it. Next guy. Next guy. So
I
they
mean,
better figure it out quickly because only a couple of weeks left in the season. And even if you do get in,
is that maybe the issue? They're all just deferring and thinking someone else is gonna
pick it up.
I mean,
Now, granted, they're missing some pretty big pieces.
what worse way to disrupt the offense than for everyone to just keep deciding, hey, you know what, I'm going to pass. I'm not going to take a shot. You know, I'm going to let someone else take the shot. And when you got 5 guys on the floor, all thinking that, you know,
Then you have one too many
you're going to
passes.
see
You're
the clock hitting 0 an awful lot, and you running off the floor having not taken the shot. And,
Yep.
and cue the old Wayne Gretzky quote.
Yeah, well.
About what percentage of missed shots or what percentage of untaken
I'm
shots.
wondering where the defense is, though, man, because you know what? Saskatchewan had 67 shots on net. That's Philadelphia kind of numbers right now. 67 shots on net.
Yeah.
I almost can't fault Dylan Ward because you know what? 16 goals isn't bad when you're facing. That means you made 51 saves.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost be interested to go on Graham Perro's website and look at block shots this year versus last year or the last few years and see it. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if there isn't a sharp decline in that number, and I wouldn't have any explanation for why that's the case.
All right, just an update, Mike. We're now a minute and a half into the fourth quarter, and the Toronto Monarchs are now leading the Brampton Express 11-10.
Wow.
Jordan Dance with yet another goal. And Parker Pfeiffer, who I believe topped the league in points this year, with a goal to make it 11-10. This is a hell of a game. Jordan Dance has got 5 goals and 4 assists so far in this game. Tanner Buck's got 3 goals. Parker Pfeiffer's got 2 goals, 5 assists. Leading the way for Brampton, Zach Sunderland's got a pair. Gavin Thibault's got a pair. Austin Hazen has got 3. Curtis Ward has got a pair. And Penn Eichred has got 1. Hell of a game. 12 and a half minutes to go. It's going to go right down to the wire, this thing. This will be on the All Lacrosse, the Arena Lacrosse League YouTube page. Probably up by morning tomorrow. I suggest you take a look at this game. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Wow. 12 minutes to go. We'll keep you up to date as we know it, but you're getting it as quick as I get it, right up to the minute. Pretty wild, eh? All right, talking about crazy games. I'm gonna bring up the Buffalo Vancouver game, and again, I was in Bandit Land last night, watching it for Wrestling Night, and Ball ignites for 4 goals and 6 assists. Del Bianco improves to 3-0 for the Warriors. McKay nets a hat trick in the loss. McKay didn't get that hat trick until the second half. A number of things. Ball, 4 goals, 6 assists. 3 goals and 3 assists were in the first half. Now, this game was obviously touted as a goaltending duel. But as I put in my article, there was anything but that when it started because, well, shall we say, in the first 7 minutes, it was 4-3 for Vancouver. This was a punch-counter-punch kind of affair. And all of a sudden, these two goalies and the defenses around them said, enough. And we didn't see another goal for 9 full minutes. We saw plenty of opportunities, plenty of chances, but not for 9 minutes did we see another goal. Hence our goalie story. And each one was out-dueling the other one, doing a more spectacular save, a more spectacular play, a thread-the-needle pass down the floor. Matt Vince stepped out and, he set a pick that just about, I believe they left the equipment of the Vancouver Warrior on the ground. It's like he ran into a brick wall. Obviously eliciting the crowd for 19,070. 19,070. A lot of energy in the room. Vancouver goes to the dressing room and they're up 7-4. Keegan Ball again, the big gun in that with 3 goals and 3 assists. Buffalo really never had much of of anything going on. And Ian McKay said, I happen to have his part in of the press conference. In the first half, it was basically a one-pass shoot kind of idea, trying to get transition to work. And Vancouver wasn't missing many assignments on defense from where I was sitting up in the press box. They weren't being fooled by any of the switches. They weren't being fooled by any of the pullaways that Buffalo was doing. And guys were just, boom, there, blocking lanes, blocking shots. Buffalo came out on a mission in the third, bringing the game within 1 goal. But again, both goalies were spectacular in that quarter. And this set the stage for a fourth, heart-stopping fourth. The biggest thing in this game, Mike, and we've talked about it all year with Buffalo, is discipline. Discipline. 2 goals in the first were on an account of a boarding 5-minute penalty to Nick Weiss. And for anybody who says, nah, he just hit him he hit him in the numbers. It was Keegan Ball. His head went into the boards and the helmet flew off. And he was down. Now, he got back up eventually and actually scored on the power play. But, was it a deserving 5? I think so. But that wasn't the dumbest 5-minute penalty that I saw. I saw, after a Ryan Martell goal in the 4th, I saw Dylan Robinson jump on the sprawled Ryan Martell who dove across the crease and scored with a cross-check to the head and got a 5-minute penalty for his trouble. Now, the goal that Ryan Martell scored was counted as one of the goals on the 5-minute. Not much longer after that, Adam Charlambidi scored. Then Keegan Ball scored. Just
20
less
seconds
than a minute later, yeah. And there you go. And this was after Josh Byrne had given Buffalo the lead earlier in the quarter after Nick Weiss had tied it. And it looked like Buffalo had all the momentum, and they were up by 2, doing what Buffalo does. Crowd was in it. They were up by 2. They were starting to do the Harlem Globetrotter thing, and then this happens. Now, with a couple of minutes left in the game, Vancouver takes a silly penalty. I believe it was 2:17 left and now you're putting Matt Vince on the bench, and it's 6-on-4. Enter Kristen Del Bianco, and he was unbeatable. He made save after save after save after save. My God, if you weren't already impressed with what he does, you were impressed with what he does. And he preserved that win, 13-12. A few other notes in this game was that Del Bianco was out of the net almost as much as he was in it. he was more nimble than some of the defense running around, making it up past the restraining line to make passes. One time it almost bit him. His pass got blocked, and he had to make not one but two quick saves. Reflex goalie. Made him. But boy, oh boy, he would have eaten a lot of crow on that one. But what does he do right after that? Fires a strike down the floor, threading a needle to a... It's... Yeah. What kind of effect has it been since you made this trade? You took a team that might make the playoffs to a team that might win a cup, is what you did.
Yeah.
Buffalo, on the other hand, here's an interesting stat for you. Buffalo was out 7-0, right? 7-0 when he started. In the last 8 games, they're 4-4.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely cause for concern.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing. While we got, I'm just going to play a little bit of some press conferences. First, I want to hear John Tavares briefly on the game.
They got off to a pretty fast start. We matched them, but I think the first 4 shots were 90 settled in after that. And thought we were pretty good, but we can't be taking stupid penalties like that.
Coach, I know one thing that we saw from Vancouver, they really tried to push the ball down in transition, especially Bianco with a couple deep shots. You guys were able to slow them down a little bit in the second half of that. Was there anything that you talked in just halftime with trying to slow them down on those fast breaks on transition?
I think they were running fast break, particularly when they were short-handed. 5-on-5, I didn't think they had many opportunities, especially in the first half. It was more so when they had Balint. And we talked a lot about minimizing transition against, and they did get a couple opportunities, and we tried to make some adjustments to make sure that they didn't happen in the second half. I thought we did a good job overall.
I'm sure you expected Vancouver's in the middle of a playoff race. You expected desperation out of them.
No excuses, but obviously they're playing desperate, and we're kind of playing. We're kind of the guys playing hard, but they have a lot more on the line than we do, I guess. But we're still trying to play. We're trying to ramp up into the playoffs. We're trying to maintain that first playoff spot. Remind the guys that it's a tough league and it's a lot of parity, and it doesn't matter where you are in the standings. It's going to be a tight, tough game, and they showed you tonight. The goalie played well, and they put the ball in the net. They got a big, tough defense, and they're a well-coached team.
Thomas.
Now, Ian McKay had 3 goals in this game, and just want to hear a brief little bit about him, because I personally thought he saw something different from what he was seeing in the first half.
And annoying. They're a team that I don't know if they're necessarily on the rise. I think they're in the mix right now, and kudos to them.
You started seeing things in the third quarter, started clicking for you. Did you see something different in Del Bianco than didn't see in the first half, maybe?
Not necessarily. I had a couple of shots in the first that I thought I just missed. Once they said to me in the second quarter going down the lane, and I tried to pull it short side high, and Del's is a reactive kind of goalie. I just missed the net on that. I thought I had the shot I wanted, just missed it. And those other ones, it's just kind of in the moment. You kind of see what's available, and the one was a pick and roll, and Josh made a great feed, and they slid, and I just kind of left it out there and kind of hope for the best. And
Last year and following that?
A page from what, sorry?
Last year.
It's tough. Obviously, you can take pieces from the last couple of years, but Weiser said it great in the locker room. Like, no one's going to give us a championship. No one's going to just put a banner up in our crowd, right? So we got to work hard for those, and again find ways to win to be able to again set ourselves up in position and hopefully get on a good streak here going to the playoffs.
Was there anything else in that second half that you noticed offensively when just seeing how the way Vancouver was playing defensively, especially their aggression that you guys try to take advantage of to help get on that run goals?
Yeah, I think we were really unselfish in the second half. And I think in the first half it was a lot of one-pass shot kind of offense, and I think that part of that was the frustration of not fully knowing what the defense was going to throw at us and getting more comfortable in it and talking about it at halftime. And that was the key thing, was like, we had a 5 in the first. We're killing a lot of time. We're trying to push transition and make things happen, which is a staple of our team. And it was, get the ball, swing it, let's be unselfish. Yeah, we have Josh and Dan, but we also have DeHoga, we have Bucky, we have Kluch, myself. So anyone can go off any night, and that's the beauty of our team. Everyone trusts each other, and I think you saw glimpses of that in the second half.
It says it all, really. He was. They were starting to shoot high on Del Bianco, high far corner. So don't know if they saw something that worked, but we had a pretty close game, 13-12. But boy, when the chips are down, he was just incredible, unbelievable. This. I believe it was you that brought up the Calgary 2019, Mike, and I'm seeing that. How one man named Del Bianco can be the changing factor in everything that you're looking at, in the David and Goliath kind of a series. This time it's not so much David as a little smaller version of Goliath.
Yeah.
But what a time to be on the upswing. And in the last 3 games since they've made this move, what a difference on all aspects. Crowley looks a lot better out there right now. Subak is not doing dumb things out there. Nobody's trying to do too much. Everybody is calm and everybody is doing their thing, and they're not worried about running back. So they're doing more transitioning. They're doing more. Remember what I said last week? Transition wins games.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if they can, keep getting, production out of, Owen Grant, Reed Bowering, Jeff Cornwall in transition, then good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. Now I want to bring in the opposite of what I'm talking about.
Oh boy!
And over here we come with Pat Bernard and the Wings Nest, which the Dead Wings. What happened, Pat? You were there. You witnessed this. Should we be given last right? What's going on?
I just, before he starts, he probably, since he was there, he probably didn't see this on the broadcast, but, I happened to catch at halftime, Brian Smith and, of course, Scott Gabrielson. And let me tell you, the look on Scott Gabrielson's face, this is a guy who's won championships, was a core member of the defense for the Wings, so he knows what it used to be like there. And just the look of exasperation on his face, and this was at halftime when shots on goal were even. Loose balls were nearly even. They were 2 for 2 on the power play. And somehow they were still trailing by 5, and just the look on his face, of what is it going to take to break this
new record,
awful record-setting losing streak that the franchise has never seen the likes of before. I mean, to me, that just said it all.
That building is cursed. Hey, Mitch, Muffler Mike, let me tell you something. You saw The Dark Knight, right? Let me show you a magic trick. Ready? It's Gary, I just heard you talk about not doing dumb plays, guys looking like superstars, guys playing well. The Wings fail at all that. Okay, they stink. This team is garbage. They suck. Yeah, let me start from top to bottom. And I kind of expected this. All right, I kind of expected. Zach Higgins is going to know Joe Terrence's playbook, right? I expected him knowing Mitch Jones's playbook. I expected that, right? I expected him knowing where Blaze Riordan want to go with the ball. I'm okay with the secondary scoring coming through. The only player on this team who's been there consistently, even though he's contributed as a secondary scorer, is Phil Caputo. Phil Caputo has been aggressive. He's the only one show me any kind of thing. Him, he like I said, Phil Caputo is about the only one who looks like he's adapted the Philly swag, the Philly attitude is trying to play night in and night out and give it all 100. I can't say that about the rest of the team. I mean, this is painful to watch. A product where legitly this team has no goal scorer. I've seen Jeff Teat. Jeff Teat looked like an all-star against this defense. What was the biggest problem I saw out here on Friday? Here goes your biggest issue. Ottawa was being very creative, and they got Philly to bite on every play. Jeff Teat bought off the pick and roll. Who was it? The kid Simmons. I might be butchering his name. He got the power play goal for the Black Bears. Who else? The one play was really
Clark. Tiger.
Well,
no, yeah. Well, I'm gonna get to his spank job in a minute. Let's see. There was the one play that they made that was, again, they were really creative. I got to get to Ottawa. They were very creative. They had Philly bite on every play. The one play they had Tanner walking down with a fake. There goes that kid, Brandon Connell, shoots it from half court, and it finds the back of the net. It's amazing. Just a little storm brain power here. And here goes a stat for you. When the when the Wings fall behind on the scoreboard, they are where they were 1-8 heading in. They are now 1-9 falling behind on the scoreboard. It's terrible.
Eduardo's going to help you with this one. I want you to watch, Pat.
It's terrible. It's terrible, Eduardo.
I would like to actually bring a clip of Pat from, I think, week 4, week 5, and watch the elation. Just watch him start eating bananas and things like that, and then I want to put this Pat beside him, and I want you to watch the difference. The lines that have developed in the forehead.
Yes. The stress level has been extremely high. That building is cursed. The Flyers suck, the 76ers suck, and the Wings suck. It's again 8 straight losses. It's been almost 3 months, 7 weeks since I saw a Wings win anywhere, on the road, at home, anywhere. You know what happened? The Colorado Mammoth had themselves some wings and cheesesteaks, and the Ottawa Bears said, "You know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea. Let me try. I'll get some honey, some cheesesteaks, some wings. I'll start eating there too."
Honey cheesesteaks actually sounds
pretty
good.
I'm going to give you another stat there, Pat, because you guys took Desnu and you guys took Corbeil, and you gave a middle of the road first round draft pick, which is now the number 2 pick in the draft, only having Las Vegas pick lower. And then Toronto, of course, is sitting right now as the number 30 pick. And, of course, Toronto has number 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Ooh. Yeah. That's an easy layout. At least you have something to look towards this summer. I don't even know what to look toward. I can't even look into a mirror. I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, Tiger Clark this weekend, and like I said, 4 goals. 4 goals. I mean, he thumped this team. He came down Broad Street and got aggressive with the Philadelphia Wings, saying, "Yeah, you want to trade me? I'm going to make you pay."
Well, what I noticed last week when Philadelphia was playing in Toronto is that they don't have anything mapped out. Everybody is flying by the seat of their pants. There's a lot of guys that don't know what to do when they're off ball. Brendan O'Neill is one of those guys. He has no idea what to do when he doesn't have the ball. When he has the ball, he's a magician.
Correct.
But there's only one ball on the floor. Resetarits, he knows what to do. He's been in the league for 20 years. But I'm also seeing a Blaze Reardon doesn't really have a role right now. He has one play, and that's to dive across the crease, and maybe he scores, maybe he doesn't. But it's a one-trick pony. You know he's there, and you know that's what he's going to do. So if you put somebody big on that side of the floor, you kind of negate what he's going to do. That's the end of that.
So let me ask, because we've already talked about this, and we've talked about the possibility of coaching staffs making exits, one or more. Is this the other side of the coin, from what we're seeing with Vancouver, where hey, team's finally buying into Kurt Malosky's philosophy, and it's, obviously it's paying off. Certainly having CDB now on the team is helping, but you got a Hall of Fame offensive coordinator. You've got a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator.
Do you think
who's to blame here? Are the coordinators not drawing up to players' strengths, or are the players not buying in? And let's keep in mind here how many guys they have from Panther City who have been playing for Tracy Kostiuk as a head coach. Here he's an offensive coordinator, but there he was the head coach. They were certainly buying in then, okay? This team last year, this Panther City team was, one or two hiccups away from being the number 3 seed in the playoffs.
Is it a setup to get TK as the head coach, do you think? Do you think it's that cerebral in there, or is it just it doesn't have it?
If they were going to do that, why didn't they just do it in the offseason?
Correct.
Why did they promote Rubel from within?
I'm not even sure why they did that in the first place. We all kind of scratched our head when we saw Paul Day take in Rubel, even though he's got a long list of accomplishments.
And you've already see this is and I don't mean to cut into your time, Pat, but
no.
This is what baffles me, because we briefly talked about, hey, who's out there for coordinators? And yeah, there's probably more potential coordinators out there than head coaches. Obviously we talked about Andrew McBride, and after the show, of course, it always happens after the show, I think even more so than Andrew McBride, what about Steve Toll? No one picked up Steve Toll after Panther City folded. So now, with what you just suggested, here I'm thinking, well, if you had decided to, you're going to move on from Ian Rubel, you're going to make TK your head coach. What's to say he wouldn't have made Steve Toll immediately the defensive coordinator?
Mm-hmm.
Or make him the offensive coordinator if he really wanted to bring Pat McCready in.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got 3 Hall of Famers, and you got 2 guys for 6 or 7 players. You're talking a quarter to a third of your team that have already been playing for a couple of years. Patton and Caputo and Damoud. Playing under Cole and playing under Kostiuk and buying into their system. It's like you went halfway down the path, and then
I still think they need a defense, though, Mike. There's another game in which, they gave up 52 shots. Like I hate to say it, but I think they made a mistake when they took Damoud and traded Higgins. I think Higgins is a better goalie myself. That's just my take. But you have Damoud there, but you can't leave him out to dry. He had a decent defense in Panther City.
Because I won't disagree with that, but I think you made the point that at this point it wouldn't matter who was in net.
No, not really. Last year Higgins took a lot of the
flack. They'd most likely still be 5-10 because the defense is just a few flashes here and there early in the season, and now they've reverted to this. We seem to not know our assignments. We're not soaking up shots.
It's just silly plays they're making too.
When you're seeing this thing unfold in front of you, and it's just this stuff that's fundamental lacrosse, like you just mentioned, Mike. It's missing assignments on defense, then running around like on offense with like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, guys are looking to set plays. Guys, there's no really formation of fundamental lacrosse, either offensively or defensively. You just see Joe Resitarian's trying to get into his sweet spot and trying to shoot, and that's all he's trying to do. Mitch Jones, it looks like he just wants to facilitate and takes a shot when he can. And there's no really, like I said, a primary goal scorer. There is none. And look what Paul Day went through. He went through stepping down as the head coach. Everyone thought through the whole Wells Fargo Center, all the Wings fans blamed him for the season and the tank job that it fell through last year. He stepped aside. He brought somebody in here. I'm curious to know what's going through Paul Day's mind, because you brought in the offensive corner. You brought in the defensive coordinator. You brought in the head coach. This guy cannot get this team has faced adversity yet to get themselves off the canvas. Like everything was looking fine and dandy at beginning at the quarter of the way mark when we were up 5-1 at that time, 5-2 in the season. Now you have lost 8 straight. Like I said, you were number 2 in the league, and now you're scraping at the bottom of the barrel, and there's no safe haven because, like you said, the Rock got your pick. So if you were going to call this a tank job,
I can guess. I can make an educated guess as to what's in Paul Day's head right now, and that's he's potentially in a worse situation than Las Vegas is, because at least Las Vegas, it's okay. Rebuild number 4 potentially in season number 4, where you might see a bunch of off-season moves and free agent signings, and they're just going to try to start to pick up the pieces again. But they don't have the issue, as shown by the James Barclay trade, and the whole reasoning Sean Williams gave was basically, I had said, hey, if there's one guy you don't want to be getting rid of, it's James Barclay. And then the next day he's traded to San Diego, and the reason he is because he was a pending UFA, I believe. So there was some logic behind that, but again, I believe you have Mitch Jones and Joe Resitarians are both at the end of their contracts this year. They're both unrestricted free agents. They're both old enough to reject the franchise tag. That is, and they're both top 5 in scoring right now in the NLL. And you could be losing 2 of the top 5 scorers in the NLL, and
I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
Yeah, you're okay, but who are you getting in to replace all those points? It's the same question we're asking of the coaching staff. It's who are you getting? Because you don't have. Now you don't have.
He'll go to Vancouver because didn't Vancouver?
He's already been there.
Yeah, I was gonna say Vancouver. I was gonna say Vancouver's not losing sleep, and they got rid of Mitch. They're not. They got things going for them. And I listen. I get what you're saying, Mike.
For it. They got paid well for it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're not losing sleep for it. I mean, and Joe, again, he's a middle of the 30 guy. I mean, I get it. Again, he knows how to score in this league, but listen, they could be. I get from a lot of players, like if the defense is not up to snuff, maybe they're over exaggerating shots. Maybe they're getting too much in their own heads. Like I got to live up to the part because the defense on the other side, I know are going to allow up goals where I know I got to play extra hard or extra where they're overshot or overthinking on some of these plays. It's just not. That's not fundamental, and that's not fundamentally there.
That's a good point.
I spoke to a couple athletes, even with soccer. Dan Gosdock for sure brought it to my attention last year that the defense last year just wasn't up to snuff. Where they were in their own minds were overthinking and overplaying. So that's where I'm starting to feel like for this team where they're just trying to overcomplicate things.
Like they've got to make something happen because if they don't, then it'll be a score against them on the other end. No, that's a good point. We haven't brought up kind of that dynamic.
Yeah.
Mike, let me cut in for a second here. We've been watching the Arena Lacrosse game, and I got to come in with this here.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Just one more time. Sorry, Pat. We're in championship game today. We last left out as a 1-goal game, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Toronto.
Right. for the Monarchs. And the Monarchs got up actually 12-10. Brampton made it 12-11 about halfway into the fourth. Toronto got up and made it 13-11. A few seconds after that, Tanner Buck with a goal. Penn Istrat made it 13-12 with a goal for Brampton with just under 5 minutes left. Curtis Ward tied the game up with 3 minutes to go. And in our Balint fleeting moments, the minute 12 left, Gavin Tebow scored to break the tie, making it 14-13 for the Express, and that is how it ended. As I predicted, a one-goal game that came down to the wire. Brampton is your new ALL East champion.
Congratulations.
One hell of a game.
Well deserved.
One hell of a game. It'll be up on YouTube on
champion
ALL tomorrow. So, yeah, Pat, you should take a look at some of the players there that are available.
Yep.
Because
what's the champion?
Remember, ALL is the NLL feeder league. They have given something like 30 players over the years that have gone on. Hence, some teams that were going earmarked to win championships that didn't because they lost 3 or 4 of their guys during the year to NLL teams. Now, again, it brings up this thing of should the ALL become like the AHL and each team has their own affiliate franchise in there, so that they can put their players and draft picks that they can't get on their team. Now, instead of having 4 guys on a practice squad, you would have a team to put, 18 guys on, so that you have guys who you want to have as your coach to teach systems that these guys come up and are on your systems. Because what's happening now is you may be playing for Oshawa this week. Rochester needs a player. They call you up. They sign you. You play for 2 games. You get cut after those 2 games because their player comes back. You go back to the ALL and pay to play there. And then Toronto needs a player, and now you're going to go to that team. And, you just spent time learning Rochester. Now you're going to go and do a different system in Toronto. Why not have each? Because there's 4 teams in the West. There's 8 teams in the East. There's going to be more expansion in both. So it will be enough teams to have each team has a team in these leagues, whether it be West or East. And then you have your own affiliate and you have your own coach and you have your own players and all the rest of that stuff. Kind of works nicely, doesn't it? Even the players, I've talked to Brian Cole from Georgia about it. I've talked to a number of the players about it who had the same thoughts about this, especially guys who come up. Mike Triolo comes to mind, who played for Oshawa and won a championship with them. As I mentioned to you, Pat, Zach Higgins was his goalie. That particular championship. This was after Zach had been cut from Georgia or Minnesota at the time.
Well, listen, even if the Wings did have a farm system, Paul Day could go down there, get himself a horse, a nice stallion horse. It looks like it's going to run wild. And in this system, it would just wind up like the Godfather. You know what I'm saying? where the head's gone. The head's gone. I mean, because you're completely lost.
I don't think it's one player in particular. I think it's system. And I think with the lack of systems that seems to be there, it doesn't matter who you throw in there. If they're all going to do their own thing, I would be me personally. If you're not going to play the system, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Mitch Jones. I don't care if you're Buddy Holly, for Christ's sake. It doesn't make a difference to me. You're going to sit up in the left press box and you're going to think about things for a while, and you're going to come back. And again, if you don't want to do it this way, we're going to sit you up there for your contract.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't, like I said, I would have bought into it last year if it was a system thing. But now I'm starting to find maybe it's just the talent's not good enough. I don't know. I mean, because you're running on 5 wins.
Or 6 games, so the talent's there. They won 5 or 6.
Talent is there. But you were getting more scoring from Mitch Jones.
Something went wrong in the middle there. Now, granted, 2 of those wins were against Vegas. We can't overlook that. 2 of those wins were against Vegas, who was having their own troubles.
True, but you also beat the Rush. There are some good teams that were mixed into that.
Vancouver wasn't a slouch.
Del Bianco, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's before Del Bianco, but around the time they beat Vancouver was also around the time that we were talking about Aiden Walsh for goalie of the year, because he and Higgins were putting up ridiculous numbers.
Yeah.
Kind of before guys like Matt Vince and Jug Jameson kind of leveled off and you know, kind of settled in on their year. So, so I, you know, I can't say that win over Vancouver was, you know, just some kind of a gimme like Vegas.
No, I mean, listen, I mean, and the wins that they did win, though, I mean, I'm not, like I said, they were tight games, but I mean, however, you still squeezed out a win against, you know, the Rush. You still got one against Vancouver. There are some teams that you beat that you sure probably lost to, but listen, a win's a win. You're again quarter of the season in, and now you put up only 5 goals, and again, I can't tell you which is worse: them losing 13 against their old teammates. Or them going to the penalty box like 12 times. Like they legit. I mean, and Mitch Jones, my man, he was the cause of most of the time in the sin bin. Like he was in there quite some time. So, yeah, like I said, the ugly penalty, them going back to the penalty box is just, that's another thing that they need to work on. Now, I don't know that system, but discipline needs to take precedent with that team. And like I said, this team has a lot of work to do. And if I'm Paul Day, where do you start? Where do you start? Do you start defense? Do you start where, you know, fundamental? You got to get back to fundamentals.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder a few things about that team that just doesn't make sense to me. And it's just the whole overview of everything that's going on. And I've watched them live. And I was kind of befuddled by what I was watching. And you know, week in, week out, we're talking about the same things, and things aren't changing. I brought that up last week. Is, you know, your top guys had 2 goals last week. You're not winning any games with 2. You had 5 goals altogether this time around. You're not winning any games putting up 5 goals. Mike, what's the one thing with Ottawa that we need to make sure if we want to get a W and not an L guaranteed?
Shut down Jeff Teat.
How many goals Jeff Teat get?
Yeah.
How many assists Jeff Teat get? Right.
Or was it 4?
Yeah. And we'll Taggart Clark join him with that one too. And Riley O'Connor also. We're still talking about the same side. Connor Kiernan added a little bit, but the other side was left untouched. You went on the wrong side. You need a double team on this side.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the play that, like I said, that was the whole X's and O's of. That was the whole X's and O's of this game. I mean, like I said, for Ottawa to get Philly to fight on every play was insane. Like they got Philly to bite on every play. The defense fell for every trick in the book, and like I said, Ronald O'Kelly just coming up, you know, creeping while everyone's looking to the left side and keep their eyes on Tanner. I mean, just with a play fake. I mean, and Ronald Kelly just wings it from half court and boom, right to the back of the net. It's just the little things, leaving guys wide open on defense. And guys like Jeff Teat, you're going to leave wide open. That's like a shark. You smell blood in the water. He's going to eat that up all day long.
He had 16 shots on net, so you didn't really cover him.
No.
16 shots on net. Even if you wanted to say you covered, you didn't cover him.
No, it's disgraceful when it gets down to you. Again, star players are finding themselves coming through South Philly anymore. You know, just when they're down on their luck, just look like they're up against it. Here goes a scrimmage. Go against Philly. Work on whatever you need to work on, and you're going to feel good at yourself walking out of South Philly. Not only you get yourself a cheesesteak and wings, but you're going to feel good on the way back on that tour bus and then get back on the airplane. You're going to feel really good about yourself. It just becomes a joke anymore. I mean, we are the doormat of the NLL, and it's sad to say.
Ball getters in this game: Mitch Desnew with 12, Chris Corbeil with 6. At least the trade worked with you on that.
Yeah.
So if this was
till the end of the season when both of them are unrestricted free agents who can reject franchise tags and walk too.
Yeah. So what would this game look like then? That would mean that God. Because then, you know, there's 18 loose balls that you didn't get too.
No, jeez. Oh, jeez. And that's, I'll tell you what though, and that's, it's not hard to figure the wings out though. Just stick to your game, get creative, find your star player, let him run wild, have your guys, your secondary guys like Tyler Clark, guys and other guys find the roles and execute the play, and that's it. It's not hard to beat this Wings defense. All you got to do is play.
I also want to know what Liam Patton was thinking when he challenged Dustin Burkhoff to a Tilly. Now, Dustin Burkhoff is a couple of games in the league trying to stay there, so he's going to do anything and everything. And he's a big kid. He's 6'3", about 240. And I know you want to get your team rolling, but can you find a smaller guy that maybe have a chance to beat if you're going to go and pick a fight?
Yeah, well, again, here in Philly, we don't use what you call the thinking cap. You remember when you learned that in elementary school? When you learned about thinking caps? Well, here in Philly, we don't know who to guard on defense. We don't know what to do on offense. We decided to pick, a fight with the biggest.
Your fighter, by the way, is Mitch DeSnew. That's the fighter.
Yeah, well,
not Patton.
Yeah, you should leave the Mitch DeSnew. I mean, that guy looks like he wants to rough up anybody, and Patton just looks like, here, let me go for the biggest dog in the fight.
How you feeling, Brian? How's the game? Actually, you didn't watch the game, didn't you? You're part of the boycott Philadelphia thing.
Yes. I can't blame anybody who wants to boycott this.
That's how you lost the team the last time around.
No, well,
you guys are going to have to keep showing up and keep doing things because, the only way this gets better is if the fans are heard.
That's true, and I'm trying to speak for the Wings nest. I'm trying to speak, for the Wings faithful, as they say on TV. But it's harder to want to be there because winning solves everything. And when a team is showing you no life, when the team's only can put up 5 goals and a goal that averages like double digits, it's hard to do that. It's hard to be for this team when that building is just cursed.
Mm-hmm. You should go to Buffalo, Pat, and you can spell a little bit, right? And,
Oh man, they know that's all they do up there is win.
The hooked on phonics is working.
Yes, and
it was wrestling night there, Pat. I thought about you as I was watching the Empire State Wrestling guys.
Oh, really?
Putting each other through tables and things like that. Every single play, something else was going on. Their heel was great. Looked a little bit like Big Boss Man, and put on a Vancouver's Warriors shirt and were cutting promos left, right, and center. Had 19,000 people up, and I was great. And
that's awesome.
And they put him through a table. It was great.
That's awesome. I love it. I love hearing it.
But yeah, they know how to entertain. There's the he's with you. I told you, Brian. Brian knows that building is cursed. I'll be there. I'll be down there, Brian. You and I could cry together, my friend. We'll take a Lorenzo's pizza and we'll just choke on it. These Lorenzo pizzas are like this big. But I don't know if after watching this slop on the field, I don't know if I can swallow that whole thing. And I go on South Street and I take a look at these pizzas that are the size of one of those boards for construction companies.
Yeah, the size of the sidewalk.
I wasn't planning on staying all day and eating.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's worth it. But this team needs to find themselves and find the way to win. I mean, at this point, just show me something for December. Show me. I mean, other than Brandon O'Neill, I don't know what to look towards come December.
I like Mike Sowers. I liked what he brought to it last week.
Yes.
I actually was very, very enthused with what I saw. I thought he was actually catching it quicker than O'Neill because he knew what to do off ball too, and he put a real solid effort in. One of the few last week that I had mentioned there. So there is a couple of real bright spots, and Deacon not looked good last week, but I don't know. Mike brought up that point too. I don't know if throwing him to the Wolves without a defense that's going to not let him see 70 shots every time he gets in there. You don't want to have him shell shocked at NLL level. I don't think it's good for the confidence, even though he's a real level-headed guy.
Right.
So if there's anybody who can get in there and keep his thought process going, would be Deacon, because he's a winner's win. he's won on every level that he's played so far. So, he could be that at this stage to have somebody the calm in the storm might be a big generate thing that the rest of the team doesn't have to worry about the back end, which might put a few rudders in the right position again.
I don't know. Like I said, my big question is, what's Paul Day going to do? Right? Is he going to owe? Ian Rubel one more year to try and right the ship and try and get this thing back on its feet? If they lose out the rest of the year, I can't see him. Someone needs to go, whether it's him, an offensive corner, and a defensive corner. Someone's going to have to rock and roll. I'm sorry.
Tony, I agree with you, and I think that when we started the season, the first almost 2 months of the season, it looked like that turnaround was happening, but all of a sudden, when it stopped, it was like somebody shut off the water, and everything stopped at the same time. Usually, it's one thing or another where you kind of fix things. When everything goes wrong at the same time, then all of a sudden, the offense is gripping the sticks too hard. Then nobody's hitting the net anymore. I've watched it here. I watched it in Toronto. I watched the first 7 games where we were losing, right? And basically put this season into the bowl and let it flush around a little bit, which is something we're not used to in here either.
No, but, I mean that's where I hang out. But listen, it's crazy just to see this team just not able. Again, they don't do anything, and they tried to score in transition. They've tried to come up with something creative, but it just looks like you said,
Teamwork is the thing. Everybody's trying to score a 3-point goal, which is impossible. Everybody's trying to do too much on their own and be the guy that's going to bring them out of the funk. They need to have a meeting, lay everything on the table, and fix it.
Well, I think that's some of the problem, though. I just see these guys all the time, like, and listen, I'm not telling you whether you have getting personal and tell these guys they can't have a social media. But if I was one of those guys, I'd be in that gym. If I'm one of the captains of the team, I'd be in that game I would be like a Kobe. I would be in there every day practicing, eating, breathing, sleeping. That locker room. If I'm not pumping weights, I'm out there practicing. I need to be a good role model. I need to call this team to the carpet. I got to hold myself accountable for what's going wrong here. But
I'm thinking that the thing is teamwork. I'm not talking about anybody's dedication because I think they're all very dedicated athletes. I'm thinking that the old Victor Borga line is each musician in this stage is a virtuoso in their own right. It's only when we get together that we have all the problems. And they need to find a way, and this goes to the coaching staff. This goes above the players, to have a blueprint, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. Buy in or buy out. One of the two. Because we're not going to lose any more than we're losing now. So with or without you, I can find somebody else that's going to grow into the system.
Right.
And build it that way. And then beg for my fans to be patient as I try and fix what is broken here, obviously.
Yeah, let me just throw in one more thing here. We're talking about the possibility of, Jones, Resetaritz, Desnu, Corbeil all potentially walking.
Thanks.
That leads to compensatory picks, and maybe you use those picks, since you don't have your first rounder and all that, maybe you use those picks to start your rebuild. And maybe you can package a couple of those picks to, I'll just throw maybe package a couple of those picks to Buffalo. Maybe you can get someone like Chase Fraser in return. Package a couple of picks to, Calgary, get a defenseman in return. I'm just spitballing here on destinations and people and stuff like that.
No, to me,
he had something still, though, right? Otherwise, he would have traded Resetaritz and Jones. He wouldn't have traded for Desnu and Corbeil and Shane Simpson to bring him the transition game that he didn't have, which he does have now. He addressed that situation, and then it's like, like a leaky boat. Another leak popped up, and all of a sudden the rest of the offense stopped. Meanwhile, the defense stopped too. But you have a transition game. So
True. I see
where
where that could have been done, but I mean, maybe just. I guess we got to consider the other side of the coin, and that
exactly, Tony. Right on the numbers. That's right on the head. Only one ball.
Maybe calls were made, and those players were discussed, and maybe just Paul Day couldn't get a deal together that he liked, or teams just said, "Hey, look, we're all set."
Teams also know that they're unrestricted free agents at the end of the year. And if you just hold off, they may walk to you anyways without you having to give up anything. That's the other thing.
True, but I mean, he was also able, I mean, I would flip it back on you like you just did to me and say, why did they go ahead and trade for Corbeil and Desnu then? Knowing that
what I'm thinking is that he only thought that we don't have a transition game. We're going to get the transition game, which is why he took Simpson as well and got rid of Catoni, which is the guy who's actually doing anything in Vegas right now. And you got that transition game. Unfortunately, as that happened, the rest of the team isn't scoring anymore. Where they were averaging 14 goals before, now they're averaging 5. The last 2 weeks, really have been terrible when it looks at average goals. And, defensive wise, you already had problems there. You thought that maybe having a defensive guy of the year in Desnu, Corbeil, who was the captain of the Saskatchewan championship teams and a really good player throughout his career, would be the leadership you needed back there. Shane Simpson, who's a bona fide star in transition and on defense, would have helped out this defense some. So I can't fault Day. He tried to address 3 different situations with these moves, but number one, well, the top 2, I told you, the top 2 loose ball getters were Corbeil and Desnu. Right, again, that alleviates Day, as what he was trying to do worked. That added a new aspect to the team. It didn't address offense, but he didn't think he needed to address offense because you're averaging 14 goals a game. Where did it go? What stopped that? Other than Catoni being out of the lineup, but he was out in a few games earlier in the season too.
Yeah, and you did have, I mean, great guys are going to have a great conversation. It's like you had Brandon O'Neill, you had Mitch Jones, you had Joe Russell-Terrence. Like you said, you're supporting cast to come up, and I think that's the biggest bugaboo. I get what Paul Day's thinking was like, hey, listen, I have enough offensive power to get this thing back on track, but I need to take the pieces that I do need. I need to get someone better on defense. I do need to get someone in the transition game. But
I brought this up in the offseason, though, is that there's star power, and Tony brought that up also, is that there's so much individual star power in there. There's only one ball. And if these guys can only work when they have the ball, there's your problem right there.
Mm-hmm.
They need to work and do whatever it takes, which means to learn to work off ball. If your role now is, when I talked with Chris Kluche's dad yesterday, one of the things Chris had to learn, because he's always been a top flight scorer, was on this team, you're now going to be setting picks for Dane and Josh, and you're going to be getting the odd shots here and there. And he's picked up with that role and worked with it. In fact, now he's become yet another weapon, because now they're getting scoring from everywhere. Secondary, third ideas, etc. Nanticoke has always been a star. He's the secondary option after a Fraser or Dane and Josh in Buffalo. They're doing whatever it takes for the team as a whole, playing for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey. And if you're a star and you're coming into this and you're thinking that it has to revolve around me, well, if you got 5 guys on the floor that all think the ball has to revolve around them, you got 5 guys that aren't going to go in the corner and get the damn ball.
Yeah.
I'll show you the loose ball things here. Loose ball numbers are dismal. Liam Patton had 5. After that, they get worse. Mitch Jones had 4. A couple of guys with 3. O'Neill, Pace, Simpson had 3. We talked about Corbeil and Desnu, 6 and 12. Rowland, 3. Leclerc, 2. Wagner, 1. Okay?
Wagner
These are
won.
terrible loose
Yeah.
ball numbers. Nobody's going to do it. Nobody's doing the dirty work. No one's digging.
No.
Resiteritz, 2. Reardon, 2. Armstrong, 1.
And you
Caputo,
just said too.
1. Sowers, 1. Isaiah Davis
Yeah.
Allen, 3. These aren't numbers of a team that's working together.
No,
It takes.
Gary, you're hitting the nail on the head, because that's when you see this live, like they don't even look like they move into what you like.
Absolutely,
how can I
Tony.
describe?
That's what I've been saying. Exactly. It's what I watched live last week.
Yeah, they don't even move. They just stand there and they wait for action to happen instead of trying to get creative and do things. There's times I catch this team stalling, and like especially when it comes to the loose ball situation. Like, why aren't you fighting to get loose balls? You're too much focused on the next play instead of focusing on the fundamentals. Pick up those loose balls. Get aggressive. Like, you got to get in there and bust your hump a little bit. And this team is not doing it on both sides of the ball. And like I said, it's scary. It's scary from what this team went from to completely off the track and flipped it over. The train is
And it
just
doesn't get easier
lost.
next week, because next week you got a team that I can't figure out heads or tails of, and we'll come on to that in a few minutes. Georgia's your team in Georgia next week.
Back to back.
You're going to go against the Thompsons. You're going to go against Brian Cole, Alex Q, Andrew Q, sorry, and a bunch of the other guys who are just killers.
Yeah.
And if they're starting to right the ship now in time for the playoffs, this isn't a good sign either with back-to-back Georgia games.
No, not at all. And like, I just did a little research before, because I do want to talk about this Georgia team. Like, the last time Mitch Jones had a hat trick was back on February 16th.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking, what, 5-6 weeks since I've seen him get really become a offensive scoring threat. Outside of that, he has, like I said, he's great for facilitating the ball. I mean, he's all 6'4". He's got great vision. I'm not taking that away from him, but I need him specifically. What I signed up for, I need him, and this is what I wondered: is this why Vancouver moved on from him? Is there something in his game is not being that guy to shoot the ball? And I get it. Maybe you're asking a little too much from a veteran Joe Russell-Terrence. But what else do you have other than a Brandon O'Neill who averages 2 goals a game, a Phil Caputo who will get a goal in here and there? What else are you getting? Nothing. Sam McClare is starting to come on, great. But what else? Nothing. There's nothing this Wings team scares you with. In defense, that's just a whole wreck. So this Georgia team is going to look at this Wings team after they just lost this past weekend to the Thunderbirds. They're going to want to listen. They're in their mindset. Look, we'll host Philly. We'll beat the snot of them here, and then we'll go up there and handle the business and get ourselves in a better position in playoff time.
See, and Tony's hitting his nail on the head too. And I'm going to bring up his last comment. Ottawa went through the same thing until they proved off-ball play. And that's exactly what I'm saying. When you start doing the stuff away from the ball, the stuff with the ball becomes that much more easy.
Right.
Because you're making space for the guys with the ball. We're also doing the teamwork, everything that you need to do as a team. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver, well, Milowski has that simple thing: is you're going to play my way or bye. Now, Jones did get traded before he took over, but that whole situation was a mess there, and I was accordingly trying to clean up the mess too. And that was the start of the cleanup in there. And Milowski now, with McMahon and with Rob Williams, have cleaned it all up. But it didn't take that. That wasn't an overnight thing either. But now you're seeing what clear thinking and everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Just do your job. You don't need to do his. Just do your job.
No. Well, listen. And right now, this team looks like. Do you ever see a pigeon? It's been run over 15 times, 9 ways from Saturday and 2 on Sunday. It's been smashed into the ground, and you see 2 feathers poking out. That's where the Wings are right now.
Oh, yeah. I love your analogies, Pat. There's a little graphic that's going to stay with me long after the show's over.
Well, listen, just don't look for no dead pigeons on the side of the street. But listen, that's what this team looks like. I mean, just look like they've just been ran over 9 times.
Pigeons here would be frozen to the road right now.
Oh yeah, these Phillies birds are what I thought were tough, and they're showing no toughness whatsoever. They just lay down for anybody. So it's again, they just have no life. Like I said, I kind of expected this kind of atmosphere. I expected the goal scoring to be this way because I figured Zach Higgins, he knows where Blaze Reardon is going to come from. He knows what Mitch Jones is able to do. He expects what to look out for from Joe Resitarians. And the secondary guys are going to have to step up, like the Sam McClares, like the Phil Caputos. The Brandon O'Neills are going to have to come through. But it's just, again, not good enough. And when your defense is so incomplete, and there's, like I said, they're biting for everything that Ottawa's given to them. It just made the Bears that much more easier to just deal with. And again, if there was Jeff T, if he was hitting a rough patch before coming to this game, well, he just fixed it. He just got all the confidence in his world.
He's been hot the last couple of weeks, and he just continued along. He was player of the week last week, 2 games, and I think he had 28 points or something like that in the 2 games. Ridiculous numbers. And this week was just another one to the feather to his cap. Anyways, that's where we're going to leave it for this week. But I appreciate it, Pat.
Listen, I mean, Jeff T.
Dead bird now. We continue to
listen, roadkill's the new saying. But listen, Jeff T would have been, it's a shame he's not going to be in the playoffs. I mean, he's such a stud athlete. But I mean, I blame that on his goalie, but that's another story. But anyway, no, I just had to get that in.
Zing. I'm wondering when that was coming out, but boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Bravo. I like the way you
I had to finish that on the way out. But listen.
They still got a shot here, so.
Yeah. Listen, more power to him. He deserves it. He knows really, I mean, the way he just embarrasses Philly team, I'm like, why? I mean, I'm watching, Isaiah Allen trying to guard him. I'm like, why? He's cooking every time. He's just cooking, dude. He's just leaving trails of dust, and you guys are just. It looks like Roadrunner, just going right by them, zinging right to that net, just going, and we just look at the dumb coyotes just sitting there with a fork and knife in their hands. We look like lost. So anyway, guys, listen, check out my man Muffler Mike. Gary, as always. Gary Groob, you guys do a phenomenal job. Thank you guys for allowing me to come on here. Next week, we'll talk more depression when I start chewing on erasers. We go from banana to erasers.
Perfect.
So,
Pat, have a great week, man. It's great always to see you,
buddy.
And we will check up with you
next
week.
Brother. Guy, fellas.
I was Pat Bernard with the Wings Nest. As always, love having Pat on. He really has to get over that shy complex, though. Once he gets over that, this is going to be great. Hi, Lee is with us. Lee from Australia is with us. Good to have you with us, Lee.
Hey, Lee, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate all your input as well. Absolutely, very poignant. All right, let's get ourselves over. We got 2 games still to go, Mike. Let's get ourselves over to Rochester and the white-hot Rochester Nighthawks. And the fairly white-hot San Diego Seals. Excuse me. Smith goes off for 5 goals. Fields adds 3 goals, 2 assists, as the Nighthawks get their 5th straight win. They're now putting the league on notice, if they hadn't already.
Yeah, absolutely. For a 4th straight win there. Ryan Smith scoring the game winner with probably less than 30 seconds to go on power play. Like I said, 5 goals on the night along with an assist. Connor Fields had a hat trick and 2 assists. Thomas McConvey, 2 goals, 3 assists. Ryan Lanchberry, again, Georgia probably wishing they had him now. Goal and 6 assists. Rylan Hartley, 40 saves on the night. So big.
Earlier in the year, Mike, you could guarantee that goal was going the other way. because how many times did Rochester lose back to back with 1/1000th of a second left, and inside the last few seconds, I think that was back to back.
Oh yeah, the first Halifax game. So
yeah, and here you go. This time it's working. When the team is hot, everything falls their way. This team is the opposite of what the Wings are doing. They had that struggle. Now they're going in the other direction.
Yeah, definitely. And less game right now. They've still played more games than anyone else right now. So they're is it next week? They're on next week, but then they have a break, I believe, on week 20. They have a bye.
And then they play Toronto in the last week of the season.
Yeah. So and then they finished the season with 3 straight home games. So plus for them. It'll be Ottawa next week, rematch. In a game that did not go very well for Ottawa last time.
Yeah,
against Rochester.
Hartley looks better and better every single week. He's looking more and more comfortable, like he belongs back there. So
definitely. So that's and that's one of the. I mean, now you're looking at currently with the standings. I believe they're in a position for a home playoff game. So
we didn't know they're going to make the playoffs, and now they got a home one coming. Right?
Yeah, for a team that how did they start? Not very well.
Yep.
Slowly turned it around. On the San Diego side,
look who's with us.
Hey,
Al, great to have you, man. Great to have you.
Thanks for tuning in.
We miss you.
Definitely. Yeah, on the San Diego side, 4 goals from Trey Leclerc. A pretty balanced attack. Westberg had 2 goals, 3 assists. Ryan Benesh, 2 goals, 5 assists. Jake Govett had a hat trick. Zach Courier had a goal and 4 assists. Chris Irregolari with 46 saves. So, kind of more of the same. They're getting their guys back and healthy. Kyle Rubish, Trevor Baptiste, and they're getting a balanced scoring attack. So
now, if we needed a measuring stick of Sisselberger in box lacrosse, Trevor Baptiste, and he went 13 for 31. He almost went 500 against one of the best in the game.
Yeah, that's I mean. They probably needed every face-off they could get, including the last one. I believe he won the last one.
Right.
After they scored the power play goal to go ahead.
Yeah.
So
West was great in this game. But he's been even when they were in the little funk that they were, he was the one bright spot on that team. He was consistently putting up 4 and 5 goals a week when nobody else was putting up anything. So here now when he's got support, and support he's got, it's nice to see Benesh back and doing what he was doing. But, man, just by an eyelash, eh?
Yeah, and it's we obviously have got the one game to talk about coming up, but this coupled with the result of today's game really put San Diego in a pinch. They were looking at the possibility of being being top 4 and having they win this game and they're in 4th place more or less and have a home game. And now with the last game we got to talk about creates a 4-way tie, and they're on the losing end of that 4-way tie and drop all the way to 8th place in the standings now.
Well, just to give us an oversight of it. So let's go right to the top where we need it.
Yeah, so you've got Buffalo and Sask tied, and obviously Buffalo has a tiebreaker there head to head. We'll get to the Halifax game in a sec. But yeah, I mean, a win for the Seals, would have put them at 9-6, right there with Halifax. And do they have the tiebreaker? Oh no, they haven't played Halifax yet, right?
No, that's still to come.
Yeah,
but Rochester would be down below where Colorado is, right?
Yeah. They would be 8-8.
Yeah, well, they'd be out of the playoff picture.
Right. So it's this game, this game coupled with the one we're about to talk about, big swing for a couple of these teams. So.
Alrighty, so let's get ourselves onto that, and this afternoon.
Yeah, game the Thunderbirds probably. I don't know. I thought they had no business losing it. They almost proved me wrong at the end. But Georgia squeaks away with a 13-12 win in overtime. This is Georgia's 9th game decided by 1 goal.
I still can't figure this team out. I just can't.
Well, honestly, this might be why they're 5-4 in those games, but they are 3-1 in overtime. So, when you lose a lot of close ones like that.
See, the other stat is this. You all think that it's going to be a Lyle Thompson or maybe a Miles Thompson goal. Andrew Q, more times than not, is the guy who scores that overtime goal or that last second goal.
Especially in overtime.
Yep. He is Captain Clutch when it goes that way.
Yeah. I mean, it was nearly him who ended Buffalo's repeat chance first round of the playoffs last year. So,
well, that's when Seth Oakes was out in that game, and he's out again, right? So.
Yeah, but Shane Jackson continuing his hot play of late. 3 goals, 6 assists.
Isn't that wild? Ever since we brought up that you brought up that stat that Shane Jackson hasn't been anywhere near his MVP thing, he's been on fire from that week onward.
Yep. So just in time for the playoffs. Q with 2 goals and an assist, one of them being the game winner. Brian Cole had a goal and 3 assists. Caleb Benedict, a pair of goals. Brendan Bomberry, a goal and 2 assists. Lyle, just a goal and 2 assists. But, hey, the team's picking up when Lyle and Miles aren't. So, and that's what they're going to need if they want to push for the playoffs. Kudos to Halifax for not giving up. They did get down and they had to score 2 goals in the final 20 seconds to force overtime. And which
in its own right was amazing. Like you figure that they would ride that momentum into overtime. And Dobson made a couple of beauty saves in the first minute or two of overtime.
They did.
One that comes to mind is one that I thought was in. I thought it was going in.
Yeah. Jake Withers, another dominant game at the faceoff dot. He had a goal, 21 loose balls, and 25 or 28 on faceoffs. Just taking the swarm to school at the dot. Dawson Theed just came back, just activated again, 4 goals and an assist. Cody Jamieson had a pair of goals and an assist. Clark Peterson, 1 and 5. Not a typical night for him, but a lot of facilitating. Randy Stotts had a goal and 3 assists. Warren Hill, 43 saves on the night. And obviously this is a tough loss for Halifax. There was a chance to stay just 1 game behind Saskatchewan and Buffalo, which in and of itself, I mean, this team started 0-3. And ever since that home and home with Rochester that they split, where they benched Warren Hill, I mean, they've been 7-2 since that series. So,
yeah, they were the white hot team before Rochester took over that spot.
Yeah,
and they've been kind of so. Against Toronto, injuries and things like that also. But they're just the little bit of inconsistency, and I worry about that in playoffs. You have that off kind of week, and you'll be watching next week's continuation of playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, I don't know what the answer to that is, because it seems like with Halifax, that inconsistency, it always seems to come in a different form. It's, you had a bad first half and then you picked it up in the second half, or you had a great first half and then you collapsed in the second half, or you got undisciplined and made a bunch of trips to the box, and that's how, or
Well, I'm starting to get the hang of the Georgia thing now too. And as their transition game goes, if their transition game is on par, they are more apt to be in this game. They are not a team that's going to, even with Lyle and Miles, going to overpower you on offense. They haven't done it all year. When the transition game is, it brings them a whole new dimension. And you see today, Weedman added a goal, a few guys in there. And also Caleb Benedict's back in the lineup. And he means a lot to this team, both as a person and as a player. And that goes a long way in how this team reacts, it seems. So I might be able to, after all these weeks of banging my head flat, that I might actually have a little bit of a thing in there. Seth Van Scheppen was with a goal in there. We had a Brendan Bonbury sighting today too. We haven't had many of those recently. So who knows? Maybe I'm onto something there. After we get past the 5 scorers, right? Because if otherwise they lose this game by 4.
True, and Dobson did come up big on a lot of Halifax transition opportunities.
Yeah.
Stoning the likes of Ryan Terefenko, Colton Armstrong, Duncan Thompson. So
it's strange. And to say Halifax is starting to wind up in that same, I don't know which team I'm going to see week in, week out. Because in the last 4 weeks, they're 2-2 and 2 very, very good games and 1 game and 1 so-so game. And this one is so-so to game. Really.
Yeah, and boy, they can't afford so-so. I mean, to finish the season, they're home against San Diego and next week. And if that's not an absolutely crucial game for both teams, I don't know which game next week is. Then they're at Buffalo in week 20. So, that's going to be a knockdown, drag-out barn burner.
Yeah.
And then they finish, I believe, who do they have to finish week 21?
Heck, I could even make it to that Buffalo game. Friday night is when Vancouver is in Toronto for that shellacking. I mean, for that game. Hey.
Oh, Halifax!
Wings, boys. We might be making another trip down yonder. That'll be 3 weeks in a row because next weekend I'll be in Rochester.
Halifax finishes week 21 at Toronto. So that's home against San Diego, at Buffalo, at Toronto to finish.
Yeah.
So that is not an easy gauntlet.
Right. And then we go into the next season.
Yeah.
Strap her on, baby. This is going to be a wild ride. I have a feeling this will come down to the last game on the last night until we figure out who's playing who and who's doing what, who's even in the damn playoffs. So we'll be getting our calculators out for all of that. All right, let's leave it there. What a heck of a week, eh?
Yeah.
I want to
only 5 games, yeah.
Yeah, and all the different repercussions and all the different things on account of those 5 games, which are long-lasting way past that. I do want to say, again, congratulations to the Brampton Express. Their first time ever being the ALL East champions. They earned it, boy. They, midway through the year, it all clicked for them, and with the exception of a hiccup here and a hiccup there, they really were a great team all year round. But that's not to take anything away from the Toronto Monarchs. You know, they were every bit as much of a champion as Brampton, whereas just a one goal in the very end of the game is the difference between hoisting it and watching it. Wow. And thank them for proving my point of this is just such a spectacular league. Run well, played well, great atmosphere, great players. And I am very privileged to be part of that, as I am doing their website and doing their power rankings week in and week out. So I'm very, very privileged to be part of that league and have been for a number of years. Just a reminder that we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, X, we're on Instagram, we're on Thread, and we are on YouTube as well as on the internet web at www.streampunkentertainment.com for you to check out 3, 4, 5 times a day, because lately the news has been changing all over the place. PLL is starting to make news. We didn't even touch on a few of the moves and trades and things like that, because that season's just around the corner now as well. Strange stuff going on there too, eh, Mike?
Yeah.
But we'll be catching up more about that and summer ball in the next little bit too, once the NLL settles down, because man, it's the story of stories. And we'll also have NCAA for you as it gets more interesting down the stretch too. And I know Pat will be happy to put on a bib and a fork and a knife and get into a championship booth. And Caden will be doing some of that stuff too, as well as Caden will be doing some of the PLL stuff for us as well. And looking forward to seeing his coverage there. Shawn should be back with us next week when the curling is done. Or has he got one more week of curling?
I think he might have one more week.
One more week. Curling thing just keeps going. Lots and lots of curling. I told you they should do it overhand. Keep breaking the ice though. It's heavy rocks. I feel like a shot put. Maybe they're our next Olympic sport. Eh? If we can get breakdancing in there, we can get that. This would be break icing. Anyways, I want to thank everybody for being with us week in and week out, especially the guys who have been, you know, chiming in with us. Brian, Tony, all the guys. Eduardo, of course, as our Western correspondent. I want to thank everybody for everything that they do with us week in and week out. Last words, Mike. What do you got for us?
Congrats to Saskatchewan clinching a home playoff game with that Halifax loss. And yeah, week 19. Boy, all 14 teams in action. So a lot of things can move around. I mean, you've got 4 teams tied at 8 and 7 right now. You've got 2 teams just outside the playoff window at 7 and 8. So 10 teams fighting for 8 spots, and really it's probably more like 12 teams fighting for 8 spots at this point. So
that's the first time in history we got the same jerseys hanging up, eh? I got Vancouver and you got
maybe.
I don't think we usually are on the same page with this stuff.
Got the memo.
Yeah, I want to thank the Buffalo broadcast guys for once again taking me in and taking me under their wing, and having Dave Buchanan, Steve Bermel, as well as John Gertler. And, you know, it's just so much fun being around them, palling around with them, working with them as well. And I really appreciate the time with them. And I love going into Buffalo. I have such a good time in there with the team, with the front office, with all the people behind the scenes. It's just such a top-notch organization from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a reason why this organization wins. And it's not just the players on the field who have a huge part to do with it, of course, but it's all the other things that go into winning. And Buffalo has got that in spades. It's incredible, the workings behind the scenes with everybody. And I just love being up there and having a chance to be part of it and being taken in that I have been. And I appreciate everything they do for me. Next week I'll be in Rochester, and I'll be able to work with these guys also. And again, I'm looking forward to it because Ripper's always been great to me too. Greg Rubczynski. So great to have a chance to go out and see them, and Mike Cooper and the Rochester Bats and those guys. So it's going to be a real great time. Brian McVeigh
Awesome.
Also. So I appreciate everybody, and I love the lacrosse community. And again, talking with the NBLL guys in the Czech Republic, and it's just such a wonderful thing. It's a big world, small community, making it a big community and making the world smaller, which is pretty awesome when we're able to do that, especially when we're tackling a big thing like the Olympics in a couple of years' time. And, it's just so heartwarming to see everybody working with everybody. And that's what sets this apart from 95% of the sports that are out there or more. And why I really, really have always loved this community, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. Anyways, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. Shawn, we miss you. Like to have you back. Caden, feel better too. We'd like to have you back too. Love your insights as well. So we should all be back next week. Well, most of us anyway. Until then, remember, keep your sticks high and your spirits higher. Have a great week. And until next week at 8 p.m. on Sunday night Eastern, have a great week. We'll see you then.